And now she's like, yeah, it's so good that you like fight for me and like show me how much you love me. Like, it's just so good. And he's like, yeah. It basically sounded like she was going to propose to him. So then he like reaches for the ring and she's like, whoa, what the do you think you're doing, buddy? And he's like, oh, so I was just reaching for the ring that you knew was in my pocket and you knew was the entire part of this show. And she's like, whoa, absolutely not, buddy boy.
The bottom look like for me. I remember getting laughed at. Now this shit ain't funny no more.
Jesus Christ.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the Ultimatum episode 9. This is the decision episode where the couples that were issued the ultimatum, the couples that went through this experience are deciding who they want to end up with, whether they're getting engaged, whether they're breaking up, whether they're going with the other partner. All will be revealed in this incredibly underwhelming and frustrating episode of the Ultimatum. My God, I am not happy with the results of any of these relationships. So if you haven't seen the show and you're just keeping up with these videos, you can probably guess what's happened. Now, we're just going to go couple by couple. Also, because I'm only covering this episode and I will be doing another video on the actual reunion episode in its entirety, I think what I'll do here is also just vent some of my frustrations about these couples in general when I get to them. So first, we're going to open with JR and Zaina, or JR and Sandy. This is the only one where the person goes to both parties that they dated, I guess because this one was kind of up in the air. So the last episode, right, ended with JR going up to Sandy and being like, oh my God, you look beautiful. Wow, my eyes. And then now it cuts back to 5 hours earlier where he's like narrating to the camera all his like thoughts. And my God, he's not the deepest thinker, is he? He says at the start, you know, after these 2 trial marriages, I really have clarity about how I feel about marriage.
Now, after 2 trial marriages, I feel like I have clarity. At this engagement ring, it means committing to one person for the rest of my life.
What are you talking about? First off, you've already lived with Zaina before for ages. Secondly, you've been married before. Like, how do these 2 trial marriages help clear up anything at all? If he said like, oh yeah, by spending time with someone else, it's given me clarity, fine. But like, dude, the idea that spending 3 weeks with both of these people, one of which you've already spent tons of time with, gives you clarity on how you feel about marriage as a concept in general, like, spare me, JR, spare me. But look, I think Sandy and JR was a rough watch because I don't know what happened off screen, but it is very clear that Sandy has JR like balls deep in the friend zone.
I feel confident in the decision and I'm excited, you know? I'm excited for you.
Excited for you
I'm
too.
happy for you, and I'm grateful for you.
Me too.
Right? And JR is like responding to that. I love these situations, right, where someone feels some type of way about someone and then you can see, even if it's not intentional, the other party starts kind of responding to that, right? So JR doesn't address this head on, but you can see in his mannerisms and how he's like carrying himself, he's just so insecure because he feels that she's disengaged. So he starts acting really corny and goofy. She'll say, you know, like, I got to live in my truth. And he'll be like, damn, that was beautiful. Like as if it's Shakespearean or something. And it's like, dude, no.
You just have to live your truth.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Obviously,
She just rattled off a BuzzFeed talking point. Like, what are you on about? And he's down bad to the point where he literally goes like, can I get a hug? Like he's that down in the friend zone. It's just really uncomfortable to watch because he clearly, if Sandy didn't have him in the friend zone, would clearly go for her. You know, you can tell throughout this conversation, he's kind of like tiptoeing around like, what do you want to do? Oh, I know you probably want to be with Nick. Oh yeah, I guess you have some loyalty. And I think the funniest thing in this situation is clearly to her, it's not an issue of being loyal to Nick. Like I think JR is trying to convince himself that like, oh, because you have to stay loyal to Nick, you know, you're not going to go for me. But it's like, I think she's icked out by both of you. I think one of the most telling moments is when Sandy basically implies she's going to say no and this relationship is over. It really sounds like she's moved on from the relationship while JR is still holding on for hope. It very much feels like when, you know, someone breaks up with someone and then they show up and try to change and it's all a bit too late. But when JR basically catches on to the fact that she's going to like go back to Nick or just move on with her life and not pair up with JR, he starts talking about Zaina. He's like, you know, and I've got Zaina that I guess I have to be loyal to. And it's like so obvious that he's only bringing this up because they're not happening. So let's talk about Zaina and JR because this is unbelievable. I could not believe what I was fucking seeing. So, you know, Zaina starts reflecting on their marriage and she goes like, you know, I was actually really insecure in our relationship. And JR just goes, yeah. No empathy, no sympathy, just like, damn, that's crazy. Whoa. Huh. Who made you feel like that? Me? And then we get to the most evil part of the entire season. JR basically starts telling Zaina exactly what she wants to hear for like 12 minutes.
And me being away from you for that time, I was like, I get it now.
I was watching this with my fiance, right? And she is like someone who's obsessed with like lovey-dovey stuff. And even she was sitting there like, bro, this is kind of going on for like a while, right? Like he just kept going and he's like, you know, I can see a life with you. You're like great wifey material. You're like incredible. And like, I envision myself being that in your life. I envision myself being the man for you, fulfilling everything you want. So you're like sitting there like, oh wow, he's going to get down on one knee just to go. But you know what? I don't think I'm ready for marriage. I don't think I'm secure enough in myself. I don't think I can provide enough for you. So I'm not ready for marriage.
I don't think I'm at that point to give you what you deserve.
And you know what? Hot take here, all right? Olive branch. I think that if he opened up with this, all right, I wouldn't be as mad. If he came in and he said, you know what? I actually feel really insecure about myself. I am not making the money I thought I would be making when I was going to get married. I don't have the house I want. I don't have my career in fitness lined up the way I want. I'm just not ready for me personally. I want to have all those things ticked off before I get married. That's a boundary or an expectation that I actually totally respect. And I think it's really cruel and unfair when, I mean, typically women, right, will kind of disregard that and apply extra pressure. Like if someone is genuinely just like sure about you, but not ready to get married, I think you do need to respect that to an extent. However, I think there's something else going on here. I just don't think he likes Zaina that way. You know, because truthfully, JR seems to have a pretty successful fitness business going.
The bottom look like for me. I remember getting laughed at. Now this ain't funny no more.
Jesus Christ.
And on top of that, it's not saying he should be insecure about, because Zaina literally says, like, I would be happy to grow that with you. I'd be happy to build that with you. And he just doesn't want to hear it. So, yes, on one hand, I guess his reasoning is airtight, but the fact that he opened with basically this love bomby speech and everything she's wanted to hear for ages, and also the fact that I feel like, you know what, I don't think he's ever going to be ready with Zaina. I feel like, you know, if it was Sandy, he absolutely would have said yes. That's just my vibe. That's just my sort of like 5D analysis of the whole thing. But yeah, I think if it was Sandy, he would have at least wanted to continue a relationship. And I guess I also find it really telling that he doesn't say, you know what, but I am desperate to get married to you one day. I want to stay with you. Can we please, you know, will you put up with me for just a while longer until everything is ticked off that I want to have ticked off? Then, you know what, I wouldn't be that mad at him. If she doesn't want that, if she wants to leave, totally fair enough. But this fuck around was insane, especially just to completely dump her at the end. And like, yeah, he'll be with like Sandy 2.1 very soon. You know what I mean? He'll find some like girl that's had all the same work done and he'll pair off with her and he'll fulfill his obsession with like dating a white girl. Like I just can't do it. I am so disappointed with JR. And it's weird because occasionally he has these moments of tenderness or like kind of like insecurity coming out that I find really endearing, but fuck, he was not it this episode. This gives us one of my favorite ultimatum moments ever. All right, so JR is like talking to the camera, and I think this is accidental. I don't know what he was doing, but he's like talking, and he's like, I just want to love. Like he's crying, right? And he like adjusts his suit, and it looks like he's in like a boy band music video. Like, watch how he says it.
You know, I want to love and
It's like, I just want to be loved and love. I just want to love. He's obviously like crying and it just came out wrong. But it literally looks like he's like posing for like a photo shoot and trying to look sexy and cool, or he's in like a music video, and it literally like sounds like a weird lyric. Hi guys, just while I've got you, I do memberships for this channel. I would love if you could consider getting one. It really helps out the channel and helps me grow. What's included in the membership is once a week I am doing a sort of book club where I'm talking about a TV show. Currently I'm covering Tell Me Lies season 1. I'm covering an episode a week. After that, I'll let members vote on which show I cover next. On top of that, every 3 to 4 weeks, I also do a quick podcast talking about everything I've seen and watched that I don't have time to do full videos on. So you basically get my thoughts on everything I've seen and watched. This is all for a small cost and it really helps the channel. If this sounds interesting to you at all, please consider getting a membership. Thank you so much, and back to the video. All right, next we have Caleb and Mariah. Gonna be real, Mariah showed up in this scene, all right? Like, she was like, how are you not going to propose to me? Look at me. Like, she was serving look. She shows up, and this is like unintentional comedy gold, all right? Because as I said in previous videos, my personal view is that Mariah has knocked the fucking life out of Caleb. I saw a video talking about the fact that like Mariah is anxiously attached and Caleb is avoidant. I'm going to vent for a bit because I don't like this, all right? I hate if like someone is like overbearingly anxious or constantly brings up issues and the other person just can't handle that level of conflict. They are avoidant. I don't like that. Like, I don't think Caleb's avoidant. I think if it was a normal amount of conflict or conversation, he would probably participate in it. But like that scene earlier in the season where he's like, can we please just have a day where we just relax and we're not constantly hyper analyzing our relationship? If that's avoidant, if I'm going to be classed as avoidant for saying something like that, which sounds pretty reasonable, it sounds like the man at the end of his rope. I don't want to be in modern relationships. Also, on top of that, like he literally said to her, like, can we schedule in time to talk about our relationship in like a heavy way and you can tell me what the issues are? I just don't want to do this every time we hang out. So it sounds like he is open to talking about it, just not all the fucking time, right? It's like the way the internet will hyper analyze very simple, and I mean, I'm doing it, right? Like I'm part of the problem, but the way everything needs to be slotted into like, well, that's just my love language. That's just my star sign. That's just this type of that attachment style. Like, no, sometimes people just respond to stimuli, you know? And like, if he's reached his limit and he's like, hey, I can't do this right now, that's not avoidant. All right, that's just like fair enough. It's like I've seen this rhetoric when like people get heated or are in arguments and it reaches a point where it's like, I'm not going to tolerate this sort of language or how I'm being spoken to. That person is classed as avoidant, as if they're just meant to sit there and deal with like emotional or verbal abuse. Like, no. Now, the reason I bring all this up is because there's a point where Caleb talks to the camera and says that like, you know, I just worry that there's someone out there better for her. And I think this is one of two things. I don't think this is disingenuous. I think what's going on, first off, I think Caleb might actually be a bit espresso depresso. The reason I say that is a lot of how he's behaving and operating reminds me of a period in my life. So, you know, maybe I'm like resonating falsely, but I can kind of see it. And I feel like maybe a lot of that is caused by the emotional toll that the relationship with Mariah is taking. Again, I referenced this in the last episode, but it feels like he's genuinely just like knocked out and drained consistently. And I feel like what he's saying here is either he's internalized the criticism and the problems with him and how he shows up in this relationship so much that he genuinely feels like she would be happier with someone else, or it's just kind of his self-loathing and sadness like speaking through him. But I do actually think that was an earnest comment, and I think kind of a tragic one. Do you get what I mean? But I genuinely feel like he's internalized everything she said to him over this experiment and in the relationship in general. Anyway, so Caleb ends up proposing with a very sweet speech. I thought he did a really good job. I actually found it really sweet that he had a handwritten note and said like, you know, I kind of get bad at this. Really sweet proposal. I guess I'm glad Mariah got what she wanted, even though it feels like she just beat him down into submission. But this leads to genuinely one of the best belly laughs of the entire season, where she's like giddy and jumping up and down, and she's like, oh, you know, it's just so good. We've had so many conversations about it. I'm just so happy. And then you can see Caleb just like,
it's finally happened, and I'm so happy. She's like, we've been waiting and preparing and having so many conversations, and it's finally here.
So funny, because like obviously like throughout the season we have seen him consistently talk about how overbearing she's been, how she doesn't give him a break, how she's constantly talking about marriage, how she can't live in the now, how there are all these like constant sort of like unhappiness can't be settled in the relationship. And obviously like to an extent he's probably proposed to her just so those conversations can stop for a bit. And now she's like, look, I've done it, like I'm so happy, we're so happy, aren't we? And he's like so good. I don't know, I found it so funny. She's like overjoyed, over the moon, just like no self-awareness of the situation she's put Caleb in, especially after the ultimatum. And he's just sitting there like, So good. Love it. All right, next we have Nick and Sandy. Gonna be real. Sandy like straight up proposes to Nick. She starts with this speech where she's like, you know, you're amazing and I love this ride we've taken on and like I love how open you are and how much you fight for me and all this shit, which by the way, she was giving him shit for a lot of unfair shit at certain points in my opinion over how much he was like going after her. And now she's like, yeah, it's so good that you like fight for me and like show me how much you love me. Like it's just so good. And he's like, yeah. It basically sounded like she was going to propose to him. So then he like reaches for the ring and she's like, whoa, what the fuck do you think you're doing, buddy? And he's like, oh, so I was just reaching for the ring that you knew was in my pocket and you knew was the entire part of this show. And she's like, whoa, absolutely not, buddy boy. Bro, this was bad. And you know what? I actually think Nick held himself well here. If he'd been like this the entire show, I would have no issues with Nick. I liked Nick when he came in. Then he lost his shit for a bit. But like, can we really blame him? You know, and yeah, to an extent, do I understand the whole thing of like, oh, you know, he didn't show up this much during the relationship and now he did. Yeah. But at the same time, he was the one that was trying to get married to Sandy and she was rejecting him at every turn prior to the ultimatum. That will probably knock someone's motivation to invest in you a bit. And I feel like watching then a new person clap cheeks with someone like JR would probably then motivate you to, you know, probably act out and express your love a bit more. And I think Sandy was putting on the emotional trauma of Nick confessing his love a bit, in my opinion. I'm sure it wasn't easy. But yeah, I actually kind of admire how Nick handles this. You know, and then Sandy just starts fucking about. She goes like, I do want to be engaged. I do want to be married. I do want to be with you. And I love you so much, but I also don't want to be with you. Yada, yada. Like just up, down, up, down. And you know what? I feel like what Sandy wanted was she wanted Nick on kind of the back burner. I think she wanted Nick as a spinning plate, right? She wanted to spin a few plates, date around, have JR as a spinning plate as well. And I don't think she got the outcome she wanted. I think she wanted them I think she wanted them to go back to their status quo. Just the way the conversation went, where it felt like she was trying to convince him to stay in the relationship, just not propose. Yeah, it felt like, you know, I want to keep this thing going. I want you to keep buying me things and hanging out with me when I need emotional support, and then I'll flirt with guys on Instagram in the background, is what it felt like. And I respect Nick for actually being like, nah, fuck that, I'm out and I want someone that chooses me. Like, good on him. And you know what? Like, to an extent, I feel like this is technically the show working. Same with Zaina and JR, even though that was fucking demented. I feel like this is the show working. Like, this is a relationship that should have ended and it's ended. Good. You know, good. It also feels like they're playing like the no, you're fired, or no, I quit, or like, you know, I'm breaking up with you. No, I'm breaking up with you. Like, it literally feels like they're playing that game for a bit. She tries to get in a breakup speech and he's like, nah, I'm not having it. I'm out. Bye. And then she tries to like fake cry for like 20 minutes. And like, was anyone buying these crocodile tears? Because I weren't. Wow, English. I wasn't. I was not buying these crocodile tears. I was not buying what she was selling. All right, next we have the scene that made me shut my iPad. You know, I was watching this with my fiance and I literally chucked that shit off. I was like, I'm going to bed. Just put me in a bad mood. Scotty shows up to Arya. Arya, the angel from heaven, you know, just incredible woman, who didn't want to get married to him because, you know, he's fucking demented. He's delusional. I had someone in my comments last episode be like, Scotty isn't that bad. Yo, you need to raise your standards. Date better people. You think Scotty isn't that bad? Watch the scene where Zaina had lunch without him. Not even like went out for lunch, just like ate something from the fridge without him. And he went, without me, I would never do that to you. That's not what I want from a wife.
Did you eat without me?
Yeah. I figured you ate without me.
You figured wrong. Not what I was looking for in a trial wife.
Morning.
Someone that just eats without me.
Are we serious? Scotty's not that bad? Did you see the argument he had with Zaina about JR and text? Fuck that.
Should I get JR on the line?
That's unnecessary drama. Like, I feel like you a little too old to be doing all that.
I'm too old. You think you're so mature, but you're actually a child.
You were out here gaslighting. You were out here denying.
So no, don't like Scotty. You know who does like Scotty? Apparently Arya, because she drinks the Kool-Aid. Scotty gets up and he's like, yo, you're like amazing. And I like learned so much from this experiment. And like, they haven't even lived together. He's like, yeah, like this, you know, this is amazing. You're amazing. Gets down on one knee and she like stumbles, but says, yes, absolutely. Rage quit. I rage quit the show. I watched the last 5 minutes this morning. I got nothing out of it. So, you know, this is where the episode ends, but like fucking hell. Before I let you go, I do love this moment where Scotty goes to like dramatically throw the ring onto the bed. And then they just have a really awkward shot that clearly isn't the end result of him throwing the ring.
And it's because I know the stakes are extreme.
I'm not gonna fall or hesitate.
The editing of Netflix's The Ultimatum is astonishingly bad. Sometimes it leads to great cringe humor, but a lot of the times shots linger too long. A lot of awkward silences where you're kind of like, are we doing something? Wow, the Aussie accent really came out there. Did you hear that? Coined? I never talk like that. A lot of people don't even realize I'm Australian. But yeah, I will be covering the reunion episode tomorrow. I will be watching it tonight and I will be doing it. Apparently it's juicy. So you'll get a whole video on that and that'll be out in the next couple of days. I'm going to stay up and burn the midnight oil just for you guys. Please subscribe. Please like. I normally talk about, I don't know, more high IQ movies and TV shows, but I love a good shit reality show, especially ones based in like relationships and marriages. I think I'm good at reading people personally. So if there are any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. Also, I had an advertisement for my membership part of this channel. You're welcome to recommend, if you go membership, a reality show for me to cover episode by episode in that. So yeah, up to you guys. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and have a lovely day. Please subscribe. Please consider a membership. Thank you so, so much.